It's another beautiful autumn morning here on the farm. We have a lot of homemaking things to do today actually, so tall order there, but thought we'd start it off with a good breakfast. We're currently getting 15 to 20 eggs a day right now, so it's a good time to use up eggs, and I thought, why don't we make some pumpkin egg muffins? So that's what we'll do here. I have a red onion, or purple onion I guess, and we'll dice that up, we'll saute that, and then add it to the eggs. We're gonna crack 16 eggs into this bowl, and then I also have some pumpkin here. This is pumpkin that we canned this year. So we'll add a cup of this after I've whisked the eggs, and then we'll go ahead and add the spices and things like that. Also go ahead and add some cottage cheese to this, add some good protein, and I also just love how fluffy eggs get. Scrambled eggs with cottage cheese. Yeah, that looks yummy, right? Okay, we'll add the onion mixture as well. I did also add about 2 cups of shredded zucchini to this, so we'll mix this together and then pour it into the muffin tins.
Genesis 1:1.
Good. What letter does dog start with? Good. This is your elbow, right here. Good. Where do you think the girl's elbow is? That one looks like a bumblebee flying up and down, up and down. Okay, we've done some school, and now we have not the most pleasant job to do, in my opinion. I do not enjoy working with raw meat, but I do love having nourishing bone broth on hand, and that is the plan. We recently got a cow butchered, and I always like to ask for the bones so that I can make beef broth. I let this cook for a number of days, and till it's done, it's like this thick gelatinous liquid, and so rich in nutrients. But then I actually have been really enjoying freeze drying that, making it into a powder, and it is so nice to have on hand for everything from soups to gravies and so many other things. This time of the year, we're starting to think of bone broth hot chocolate, which is another favorite in our home. So what I'm doing to start off with this is just putting a bunch of these into a cookie sheet, and then I actually roast this at 425 for an hour, and I feel like doing this really helps to bring out the flavor. And then after that is when we'll add it to this giant roaster and put a bunch of herbs and veggies, and I'll take you along for how I do all of that then as well. roast, I thought we could maybe head out to the garden and grab the veggies that we need for this broth. Anyone else's recipe binder look like this? Sometime I need to organize this, and then some other time I would love to turn this into an actual recipe book that I could share with you, but I have so many handwritten recipes in here as well, recipes passed down from either Josh's family or my family, and favorites, some of my own recipes, things like that. Anyways, that is not the subject of today. I need tomatoes, carrots, onion, celery, I think is what I usually put in here, and then a bunch of herbs. So let's go out to the garden and grab those now. Are you helping? Good work. Oh goodness, I have just not been reaching around in here. I desperately need to clean out a bunch of boxes. So much of it is just done for the season and needing to be cleaned up. But that's not the project right now. For now, let's go over here and grab some tomatoes. You can see the plants are definitely on their last leg, but we'll still enjoy every tomato we get from them. So I'll grab, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 of these. We'll do some celery and then a bunch of herbs. So funny story, while we carry these in, a couple days ago, Josh comes over and he's like, oh my goodness, just what we needed. One of our chickens went and rehomed herself in the shop, laid a bunch of eggs, which now hatched. And so now we have baby chicks again. The girls have been so excited though. So it's been worth the extra time and chores right now, but the little ones are just bringing them in the little picnic baskets. Here they are. You can hold this in, Abby. So sweet and cuddly.
Is that big?
You like that one? All right, perfect. So we have everything here. I also grabbed some purple onions. So we will cut all of this up. They're having so much fun with the chickens. I'm gonna grab my roaster here actually. This is not the prettiest thing you've ever seen, but she does the job. So that is what I use every year for this beef broth. So I'm gonna put all the bones in here and then we'll top it with all of these veggies and herbs. Okay, I'm also gonna pour these drippings in here. I don't have quite as much celery here as I would like to have, and in fact some of this I'm not sure if it's actually totally ripe, but I gathered what looked mostly ripe in the garden, which is very little, but we're just gonna roughly chop it and then we'll add it to our pot, and we'll do the same thing here with the rest of these tomatoes, the onions, and then the herbs I just kind of sprinkle over top. Okay, my problem is that my pot is too full to cover with water. So I may need to take some of this off because I really want my bones to be covered. I already didn't fit the last 2 bones in here. And as I'm adding veggies, I'm thinking, I better take some of these out. So we'll have to save those for another pot. Okay. I think we can work with that. As far as what herbs I gathered, I kind of just gathered whatever I saw. I have some chives, some parsley, some dill, some thyme, and I think that's about it. I'm wishing I would have grabbed some bay leaf. I actually have some in my drawer here. Maybe I'll add a bit of that. And then, what have we here? I think I also gathered a weed, which I will get rid of. Okay, that's thyme. Yep, okay, I think that's good. So I'm gonna add bay leaf and then some pepper, and then I'll move this over. I normally like to just let this cook in the porch. That way it's not in my way in the kitchen here since it's cooking for a couple of days. And then once I have it all ready there, I will cover it with water because it's so much heavier once it's covered. So I think that's what I'm gonna do next. Okay, so I'm going to cover this with the lid now. I turned the heat on to about medium, and we're gonna let this cook for 2 days. So every evening we check and make sure, like if the water has gone down quite a bit, I'll add a little more water, but it will not be ready to take off heat for 2 days. So after those 2 days, I'll actually take all of the veggies and the herbs and all of that, drain that out, and then I like to let it cool enough for the fat to rise to the top. I scoop off the fat, and then you actually want to cook that down. If you want that super concentrated broth, you want to cook that down to maybe 1/3 or half of what that is after 2 days. So it's very nutrient dense, very rich, and very delicious. So, and then from there is where I like to freeze dry. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll try to leave that recipe for you in the description box below. I would love to hear, as always, if you do give it a try. Now, it is quite warm outside today, honestly. I was surprised. It almost feels like we're back in July today. So that's super fun. I feel like every one of those days we just hang on to this time of year. So I think I'm actually gonna go do a little bit of mowing. To mow our entire yard takes like pretty much a full day. But now with some of the bigger kids being able to run some of that, it really helps that it's not all on me. But I love to get out there. I love to mow. So I think I'm gonna take a little bit of time for that. But before I do that, I think I'm gonna put some of these bones that didn't fit into our big pot and actually cook them on the stove for a quicker broth that we can have ready by this evening, because the kids don't know it yet and they're in the next room. But I thought, they love campfires, so why don't we have us a little campfire this evening? I want to whip up some homemade hot dog buns, and we got smoked sausage recently when we butchered the pigs, and so we'll have us a little campfire, and then I'm thinking bone broth hot chocolate with homemade marshmallows. So that's what I have up my sleeve to surprise the kiddos. They're gonna be so excited. But after I have that on its way, I want to go and soak up a little bit of sunshine while I can. Can usually count on finding some excitement here in the maternity ward. We have some special little calves. This is our new little Jersey calf here. She is so cute. She's actually Leslie's calf. What did you name her, Leslie?
Molly.
Molly. And then we have little Bubby, who we've raised from a preemie. They're both out here. Let me turn this around so you can see. You leading him?
Here. Mommy, now you can.
It's like a rodeo out here. That's so cute. See? Yeah. chased.
Yeah.
Hey, Molly. Good girl.
I quickly mixed up a loaf of fresh milled dough here before I headed outside earlier. This is the recipe from Sue Becker, and I want to kind of shape this into hot dog rolls. I've never seen pretty homemade hot dog rolls, if I'm honest. I feel like they always just look kind of quirky, and now on top of things I'm actually out of parchment paper, but we are gonna give it our best shot. The kids won't mind how they look, so we'll put something together and then hopefully they'll enjoy that with their smoked sausage tonight. Snuggling up to Josh around the campfire and seeing the kids' eyes sparkle with excitement over homemade hot dogs and bone broth hot chocolate. It was such a sweet evening and such a good reminder for me as well to take the time to have little moments like these. Celebrate the season, celebrate everyday life. I feel like these are the kinds of things that the kids will look back on with fond memories after they're grown. So my encouragement to you this week is to take those moments. Keep your eyes open for opportunities just to make it a little something special. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be expensive. Sometimes it's the little things that make the best memories. And so that's something I'm hoping to keep my eyes open the rest of the season as we celebrate autumn now. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you were inspired, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, friends.
Golden, golden thing.